Hi, I'm Ryan Malyar, Executive Director at WMCT-TV, and this autumn, as we have in the previous couple of years, I love paying attention to all of the nonprofit groups that we have in this wonderful city of Marlborough. These are charity groups, these are groups that are doing outreach into the community, and these are groups that actually form the community. Some of these are awesome groups to be involved with just because there's a fantastic social aspect to it as well. And today I'm so delighted to be joined by Beth Judd, and she's going to tell me a little bit about a very special nonprofit here in the community. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity. I'm really excited to be able to talk about our little organization.
Well, what's the name of it?
So I am from the Jaworek PTO. We are one of the 4 elementary schools in Marlborough.
So PTO, that's sort of a very standard sort of thing, PTAs, PTOs, and they've been around forever, as long as there have been schools, I imagined, and as long as there have been parents who are dedicated to their children and wanting to provide them with really unique opportunities. So what specifically does the Jaworek PTO do?
So PTO stands for Parent Teacher Organization, and that kind of says it in a little bit of a nutshell. Our mission is simple. We are parents, also guardians, sometimes grandparents are getting involved, and working with the staff at the school to make it the best school we can for our kids.
So what does that involve? Is it fundraising? Is it hands-on activities and volunteerism? A little bit of everything?
So I've learned, this is my 3rd year doing this, and I love it. That's why I'm still doing it. But I've learned that it involves a lot of all of that, right? I mean, we do fundraising. We're volunteering all the time, volunteering on the back end, just in our homes, sitting at night, mailing letters and responding to emails, but also volunteering at the events that we're throwing for the kids. We're in the school all the time, communicating with the staff and the admin. We're also involved with local leaders on projects that people might not even be aware of.
So tell me about one of these projects that's a little bit larger in scope that you've tackled recently.
Sure. So last spring, we wrote a letter to some of our city councilors, the mayor's office, the superintendent, local police and fire, and we expressed some concerns that we had about the traffic on Hosmer Street.
Okay, that is a busy street. I know it's a cut through.
Yes. So we wanted to make sure that we understood how things worked more. So, for instance, we don't have crossing guards.
Oh.
Why do we not have crossing guards? We did have a police officer that would come, but not every day. As I did morning drop-off, I would notice some weeks we had an officer one day. Other weeks we might have had him 3 or 4 days.
So you're curious about consistency.
Sure. And safety. And safety. We saw some situations that were a little unnerving. So we wrote this letter, and it was responded to by all of these players. We had a meeting. We had a lot of conversations over the summer. And what Jaworek ended up doing was getting rid of drop-off with cars.
Interesting.
Yes. So we are looking into getting crossing guards, but that takes time. It takes time I think the money's been allocated, but it takes time to hire people into that position. And it's kind of a niche position, right? So that is forthcoming. But in the meantime, we needed to make sure that these kids would be safe. So we have staff out there serving as crossing guards right now. The police are checking in as often as they can to assist. And we do not have cars pulling in and out of the lot. So it slows things down a little bit. More of our kids are taking buses. And of course, we were a little nervous about how our community would respond to this big change.
Yeah.
But it's actually, people are really happy about it. Everybody's safe. Everybody's still getting to school on time. And we've learned a lot about how things work in the city and how the district's budget works and who the different players are.
It's funny how you never stop learning. And here you are now as a parent, as part of a PTO, looking out for the best interest of your children, but you never stop learning. And here you are diving into local government and politics in an aspect too. I'm curious how the teacher part of PTO works. Are teachers involved with any of your meetings and with any of maybe they're presenting asks for funding for certain projects or class trips or things like that?
So the PTO does fund the buses for the annual field trips. We don't fund the field trip. The district funds that, but the PTO funds the buses. So there's no requests that need to be made of that. We do have staff attend some of our meetings, but normally it's in like a presentation fashion. So we might have the math or the reading specialist present. At our first meeting in September, we had the superintendent, Mary Murphy. We had our principal, Rupa Patel, and they just kind of wanted to welcome all of our new families and our old families and present on what the current kind of, how things are going currently at the school.
So how many children do you have in the district?
I have two, both at Jaworek.
Both at Jaworek. Did you ever imagine that you'd be a PTO leader?
I've been waiting to do this. I love this.
It's your calling.
I don't know if it's my calling. I just remember my mother doing it.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing her face in school, other than if I had a meeting that she needed to attend. She was there, you know, talking with teachers and admin, and she was there volunteering her time. And I wanted to be able to do the same thing for my kids.
Well, tell me about some of the ways that people that are members of the PTO volunteer their time. Is it in just fundraising efforts, or are you just being present in the classroom for special events? What does a true PTO person do to participate?
So there's the PTO board, and then there's PTO involved parents.
Sure.
So there are 5 of us on the board. We all have children at Jaworek. We're all full-time working moms. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're doing on our off time to support our kids in school. It's a lot of work, but we love doing it. We have a lot of fun. I forgot the second part of your question. Sorry.
So are you doing any sort of volunteering at the school during the school day?
So sometimes, because what we're doing, the bulk of what we're doing throughout the year is running events. We like to run free events for the students. So we're volunteering at those events, but then we have some events during the school day. So annually we do our book fair. So we'll be in the school, we'll be asking for volunteers to also join us on those days. It's a 5-day adventure, usually the book fair, and we need people to come throughout the day to host this event for the kids and teachers. We also host an event where we hand out free books to each and every one of our students in January. That's a 2-day event. Last year, it was really cool. We had this awesome project where we got a letter from the 4th graders, and they wanted to talk about their concerns about the environment and how the lunch trays at school are not compostable, that they're made out of styrofoam, and that they're concerned for wildlife and the environment. And we thought this was really cool that the 4th graders were writing to us about this concern and asking how the PTO could help them.
Wow.
They wanted to know if we could help to fund some changes. So we went into the classroom, 3 out of the 5 of us went into the classroom a couple weeks later, and we watched a presentation that these kids had created for us, 4th graders. And they had a PowerPoint. They had done a ton of research, and they were able to tell us how much the district has been spending on styrofoam lunch trays and what they think we could spend if we changed to compostable trays or washable trays. And I never would have thought as a PTO parent it would be these types of things that I would be doing, right? Like you think about the volunteering at the events and the fundraising, but there's all these other little things that pop up too, and it's really cool to be a part of them. So this year, we are continuing to work with a select few of those 4th grade students that have asked to continue to be a part of this project, and we're going to have a lunch tray committee where we're going to bring in the pertinent folks from the district and have a conversation about cost and change and let these kids share this issue with some of the people that can actually make the decisions.
Now, this is really cool because it shows not just parents taking leadership roles, but encouraging their children to be leaders as well, and to see them grow into these young adults. How fascinating. And that sounds like a great story for us to cover here at WMCT-TV, and hopefully it has a favorable outcome for these young people.
Yeah. It was really we said it was kind of like watching an episode of Shark Tank. Mm-hmm. They had a whole pitch. Yeah. And they really did their work. And it was impressive to see them speak to a bunch of grown-ups that they don't know about something that was really important to them.
Now, we're here on WMCT-TV. This is a terrific platform. We'll be on YouTube. We'll be on cable television. Are there any asks that you have right now? What is the Jaworek PTO looking for? Are we looking for monetary donations? Are we looking for more folks to just get in and volunteer?
So we're always looking for volunteers.
Can the board be larger than it is right now?
The board can be larger. We have some vacant positions. We're looking for a volunteer coordinator, somebody that would specifically manage our volunteer needs and work on recruitment and communication with our volunteers. We're always looking for general board members. So anyone that just wants to help out in any capacity and be a part of the board. And then we don't have a vice president right now. We have myself as the president. We have our treasurer. We have a secretary. We have a fundraising coordinator. And we have what's called an enrichment coordinator. So, yes, being a part of the board is great. But we're also just excited when parents want to volunteer at our events. Most of our events are a couple hours. And you don't have to volunteer for the whole 2 hours because as a parent, you want to enjoy the event with your kid, right?
Absolutely.
You don't spend the whole time.
Or do the split shifts.
Exactly.
Oh.
So you do a 30-minute spot. Maybe you want to do an hour. Maybe you say, you know what? I really only want to do 15 minutes. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll take whatever help we can get. In terms of things that the community at large can do for their local PTOs, I have been working on sending out over 250 letters to local businesses, businesses that are nearby, some even out of state, and asking for donations because we have a lot of fundraising events this year. So we decided instead of pitching our needs at all these different events or in preparation for them, we did it all at once. Mm-hmm. We wrote a letter, we explained who we are and kind of what our school is about and what we need. And yes, monetary donations are great, but so are goods and services. A $25 gift card to a local restaurant. We can raise a lot of money by doing
a raffle basket and including that in it.
Exactly. So, and honestly, the community has responded so favorably. It's been great.
Well, Marlborough does have a terrific history of small businesses and large businesses really chipping in to support the schools and to support the sports teams and any group that puts that ask out there. So I wish you continued luck in those fundraising endeavors.
Thank you.
If we want to participate as community members, are there any events coming up that we could swing by and maybe you're selling some sort of goods or something that we could help you?
Sure. So one of our big events, we are doing our first annual craft fair.
First annual. So hopefully it's going to happen again.
That's right. So we're going to be doing that on December 13th. We're still working on gathering all of our vendors right now. It's a Friday night. I believe it's going to be like a 6:30 to 8:30. People can come and shop, see, what our local artisans are up to. There are people coming from other areas of Massachusetts, but also a lot of local people. So it's great to see what they're doing. We're also going to be doing some crafts with kids. So, parents and kids can shop, but also maybe your child wants to come and do an arts and craft project. In addition to walking around and seeing what the artisans are up to. So we're working on, which kind of projects we're going to have we're going to be able to offer the kids that night, but it should be fun.
So you mentioned school buses as one of the bigger fundraising needs is to cover the cost of the buses for the field trip.
Yes.
What other sort of events and activities are you fundraising for?
Yes. So one of the things, and this has been ongoing, but this is a big project to tackle.
Okay.
We want a new school sign. So we have a beautiful sign out in front that was actually acquired by a former PTO years ago. And it's fantastic. But in the rain and in the snow, I'm out there changing all those little letters, sometimes running out of the right letters and numbers. So that's one thing. But more importantly, we serve a large population of English language learners in our school, both the students and their families. And we need our sign to be translated. We need people from, whatever their language is, we need them to be able to see what's going on.
Especially because I know with the young ones, if you put a flyer in that backpack, there is no guarantee that that's getting home to anyone.
You are so right.
So the signage is like really a major way to communicate with people, especially if you're picking your kid up from an activity, up from school, and you can see it right there in front of them.
Yes.
And you don't have to dig through that nasty backpack.
Yes, it's at a glance.
Very
Here's what's
good.
going on. Love it. So we're doing that. We do $50 educator grants every year. So every one of our staff can request $50 in grant funds for some sort of want or need for their classroom. And it doesn't just extend to the actual classroom teachers. I want to say there's like 33 classrooms, but we also have OT specialists. We have our gym teachers. So we have a lot of educators at the school that might have a small want. We did a purchase of a bunch of cash registers for our math specialist back in September because she wanted to be able to use them in the classrooms when she's teaching math.
And that's a really unique ask. And certain things like that aren't usually budgeted for, certain very specific things like that.
Right. So that we fundraise so that we can have free events. We don't want to charge admission at our events. So the craft fair is one example. Our block party, which is the most favorite event at the end of the year, I sincerely think there's at least 500 people that attend that. It's an enormous event. And we don't want to charge admission, but we also, we have face painting. We have a DJ that's playing music and doing games with the kids. We have our vendors, so we generate a little bit of income from that. But, all the entertainment at that event is coming out of PTO funds. So fundraising throughout the year helps to offset some of that. We do a scholarship. So we do an annual scholarship for a Jaworek alumni, which is also one of our favorite things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is there a special award ceremony that you do, or is it just sort of a more discreet sort of celebration?
Discreet. I really don't think that a lot of people, we talk about it, in our newsletter and we post about it, but it's just one student that was an alumni, and the district, so the high school, is the one that's awarding it to them and telling them that they've received this award. We notify the high school, and then they get to do the fun part of surprising the recipient.
So if anyone is tuning in right now and they have a student here at Jaworek or maybe one of the other PTOs, for yours specifically, what's the sort of commitment that you're asking from a person who wants to perhaps join the board?
What are we asking for commitment?
Is it a monthly meetup? Is it a text chain that I get little messages here and there? And
So we use a really fun app to communicate, and we're on that as much as we need to be.
Okay.
But if I've got a busy night, I can pause my little notifications and read it when I have a chance. We meet as a board every other month. We have started meeting quarterly with the superintendent. All the PTOs meet together with the superintendent so that we can all communicate and work together as a community, which has been awesome. Being on the board is a commitment, but it's not set in stone. We're pretty flexible. We're a fun group of people. We're all busy. And it's all about the more hands, the lighter the work. We can accomplish more together. So with 5 of us now, we're getting it done. And we've got a lot of parent involvement in general that's not, on the board. But hey, we'll take whatever help we can get.
For anyone who's tuning in, maybe they want to dip their toes into board life, or maybe they're a community member that could be a potential sponsor. What's the best way to get in touch with you and stay aware of all the wonderful things that the Jaworek School PTO is up to?
So what we're doing this year is something a little bit new. We are saying to non-board members, families that want to kind of dip their toe in and get their feet wet, maybe you can help to coordinate an event. Take one of our events on. Be the one to organize that. Decide what you need for volunteers. What activities or entertainment are we going to offer? And that's it. Like, you're just organizing the event. That's the fun. It's part of the fun part. But you're not making a commitment to be on the board. In terms of community sponsors, we're always looking for donations for our fundraising efforts. And just looking for people to help spread the word. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, and we're working on rebuilding our website. So the district has a PTO website for all 4 of the elementary PTOs. But each year we need to update the information. So we're almost done, and it's going to look great. We've added a ton of info on there.
Any other things that I'm forgetting about? There's so much happening.
I know.
We've got the craft show. We're fundraising for school field trips. Oh, you've got something.
I do. I thought of something really important, actually. So we have an enrichment coordinator. Enrichment is offering opportunities for learning during the school day, aside from what the school curriculum is. So we run about 4 to 5 enrichment events a year. Those are paid for out of grant funds from the Marlborough Cultural Council, as well as from PTO funds. Our first enrichment event of the year is coming up in November, where we have, I believe it's a company that focuses on bullying and teaching the kids about bullying. We've done like an Afro-Brazilian dance troupe that we've brought in. The Discovery Museum has come in to teach children about magnets, and we've had Eversource come in and teach them about electricity. So these events are run during the school day and a partnership with, these organizations that are providing the event, but also the Marlborough Cultural Council has been extremely generous.
Sounds like you're all doing fantastic work, and hopefully we'll get some new bites for some new volunteer board members.
We'd love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It sounds like just a great group of people. You care about your kids, and it's a great way to socialize and maybe even meet some new people too.
Absolutely. We have a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Beth, for joining me.
Thank you, Ryan.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of WMCT-TV, Nonprofit Neighbors. I'm Ryan Malyar, and thank you so much for tuning in.